Hariom. Welcome to the English class under the Bodhi tree, the abode of knowledge. The Snake and the Mirror by Vaikom Mohammad Basheer. Translated by V. Abdullah. In part 1, we discussed about the story, which was a narrative within the narrative. So let's have a quick recap of our discussions in part 1. It is a story of a homeopathic doctor's encounter with a snake. The doctor lived in a small rented room which was an outhouse. It had 2 windows and a tiled roof. The tiles were supported by gables which rested on the beam, and there was no electricity supply to the room. The place was infested with rats. As he started his practice just then, his earnings were very meager. One hot summer night, the doctor took his meals at the restaurant and returned home. He lighted the kerosene lamp, took off his coat and shirt, opened the 2 windows, made up his bed to retire to sleep. But unable to sleep due to the hot weather, he goes into the veranda, takes a stroll, and returns back to the room, as he did not find any fresh air. He settled on the chair after that and took out a medical book to read. There was a large mirror on the table next to the lamp, and a comb lying on the table next to the mirror. Since it was too hot to sleep and he had nothing better to do, he sat down in front of the mirror to read the book and opened the book. Now let us see what he did after opening the book, looking into the mirror. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. Again I heard that sound from above. I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. I was, after all, a bachelor and a doctor. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth-shaking decision. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. I was, after all, a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it. Again came that noise from above. So in this passage, he explains what all thoughts ran in his mind as he looked into the mirror. He thought of grooming himself to look more handsome and smart. Having a close look at the mirror, he decides to grow a thin mustache and shave his face regularly so that he looks more handsome and smart. Then he takes another decision to have a smile on his face, as it is very attractive and that will make his presence felt. He picks up the comb, adjusts his hair, and starts to admire himself looking in the mirror. As he was not able to sleep further, he gets lost in his self admiration thoughts. Just then, he hears the noise again from above. I got up, lit a beady, paced up and down the room. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would marry. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. There were no more sounds from above. Suddenly, there came a dull thud, as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely, nothing to worry about. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. So, here we find, lost in his self admiration, after some time, he feels it hot again, and unable to sleep and sit in the chair, he gets up from his chair, starts walking up and down the room, and takes another important decision to marry a woman doctor who has lots of money and a good medical practice. Further, in his thoughts, he even takes another decision that he would marry a fat girl so that there is a justifiable reason for it. And what was it? He reasoned that if sometime he makes some mistake and his wife chases him in anger to hit him, she will not be able to run faster if she is fat and catch him, as she will be fat and unable to run, and he can escape very, very fast. With such thoughts running in his mind of self admiration and a future planning of marriage with a fat wife, and all these thoughts in his mind, he resumed his seat in the chair again in front of the table. There were no more sounds from above after that, and suddenly everything became silent, followed by a dull thud, as if a big rubber tube had fallen to the ground. First, he thinks nothing to worry about and did not bother about it, as it was just like a thud falling on the ground. But then he thought of turning around to see what had fallen. And what did he find? No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the chair, back of my chair, and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turnings were simultaneous. I didn't jump. I didn't tremble. I didn't cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm about the elbow. The hood was spread out, and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. So here we find, as soon as the doctor turned around to see what had fallen down, he saw that a big fat snake had crawled over the chair and sat on his shoulders. The timing of the doctor's turning around and the snake's landing on his shoulder were so same and simultaneous that he could not get any time to react. He did not panic, jump, or tremble. He did not even shiver nor scream. All of these happened so fast and so instantly that he did not have any time to react to the situation. The snake moved in such a way that it wrapped itself on the doctor's left arm like a coil, and it had its hood open and was in such a position just 3 to 4 inches away from his face, that if he would have moved slightly, the snake could have bitten him. This brings us to the end of part 2. In this part, the difficult words and their meanings are bachelor, meaning a man who is not and has never been married. Earth shaking decision, which means something very important. On top of it, which means to add on to something. Paced, meaning walked. Valid, meaning logical or justifiable. Wriggled, meaning crawled. Simultaneous means happened at the same time. Slithered, which means twisting and crawling motion of the snake. Hood is the head of the snake. Let's continue the rest of the story in part 3. Thank you.